Nice to meet you.
By second period, Jasper already felt wrong. Not bad, but wrong, as though someone had nudged the world a half-inch to the left and had expected that he wouldn't notice. The first change had been small. During homeroom, the announcements ran 3 minutes over. The 5-minute transition between classes had been cut to just 2 minutes. 2 minutes had forced him to bypass a trip to the water fountain and bathroom in favor of going directly to his locker so that he could get his English literature textbook. The change to his morning routine felt like an itch that he couldn't scratch. Although the school was back on schedule when second period ended, the need to get a drink at the water fountain and to use the restroom before going to his locker to put away his English textbook while getting ready for science felt wrong because the use of the water fountain and restroom had been out of sequence. Jasper's anxiety was further put upon when he reached his science class, only to find the door shut and locked. A note on the door said that all students should report to the library. His heart sank as he realized that Mr. Jones had likely called off sick. Since the school didn't have enough substitutes, those classes that didn't have coverage were always sent to the library, where they would be under the nominal attention of the librarian aide. There was a line outside the library. Ms. Brown was standing beside the library door with a clipboard. As each student reached the door, he or she would give Ms. Brown their name. Ms. Brown would check them off on the attendance list before passing the student into the library. The bell rang while Jasper was still in line. His stomach lurched. Would he now be marked late for class? Ms. Brown must have read his thoughts. She stepped further into the hallway and raised her voice. Anyone who is already in line will not be marked tardy, she announced. After Jasper was passed into the library, he found the room to be in chaos. Without a substitute to supervise them, and without an assignment to work on, the students were running amok. Some were chasing each other through the library. The normally quiet room was filled with the babble of dozens of conversations. Jasper's anxiety soared. What made this particularly bad was that his 504 accommodations said that he had the right to leave class whenever he was stressed. His timeout quiet place was supposed to be the library. His accommodations did not give him an alternate place to go if the library was the place that was causing him stress. He almost jumped when he felt a touch on his shoulder. He turned to see Ms. Brown standing beside him. "Do you have your noise-canceling headphones with you?" she asked. When Jasper nodded, Ms. Brown told him that he had her permission to put them on. She also gave him permission to sit in her office. Instead of sitting at her desk, he sat on the floor behind her desk where he was out of sight of the other students. When it was time for fourth period, Jasper went to his culinary arts class. He had just joined his group when the strident sound of the fire alarm went off. Jasper winced at the sound as he lined up at the kitchen door under the supervision of Chef. Following his class into the hallway towards the nearest emergency exit was hard. The hallway was filled with students and teachers. The noise of the alarm felt as though it was driving nails into his head. The bright flashing light of the alarm was distracting. Jasper stood in line with his class on the soccer field until the fire drill was over. Since the alarm had taken over 30 minutes, Chef announced that they would have to postpone baking the blueberry muffins. The class groaned. Since they had spent the previous school day making the batter for these muffins, the entire class had been looking forward to baking and eating these quick bread treats. At lunch, Jasper sat with his friends. Towards the end of lunch, just before fifth period, Mr. Anderson, the assistant principal, stepped into the cafeteria. "There has been a change of schedule," he announced. "Go to fifth period for attendance, and then go to the gym for a pep rally." Jasper did not like pep rallies. The students were crowded together in the bleachers. It was noisy. The acoustics were terrible because the shrill voices of the cheerleaders echoed off the rafters, making it impossible for him to understand what they were cheering. Worst of all, he never knew how long a pep rally might last. Some were only 15 minutes long. Others lasted a full period. Not knowing how long the pep rally would be was almost as bad as dealing with the crowding and the noise. After checking in with his fifth period teacher, Jasper tried detouring to the library. Since he was allowed to go to the library whenever he felt stressed out, and since any classes without teachers would have been excused to the pep rally, Jasper thought that he could sit out the pep rally while sitting in his safe haven. He was wrong. The library doors were shut and locked. The lights inside the library had been turned off. Ms. Brown was nowhere to be seen. Jasper felt like screaming and kicking the door. When he went to the school's reception desk to ask the attendance clerk where Ms. Brown was, he found the desk empty. Jasper slid to the floor. He drew up his knees to his chest and began to rock himself back and forth in a self-stimming gesture. A teacher he didn't know found him. She didn't touch him. She didn't rush him. She looked at him with sympathy. "Too many changes?" she asked. Jasper nodded. The teacher sat beside him. "Let's take this step by step," she suggested. "The assembly will be over in 35 minutes. Sixth period will follow." The world slid back into focus. When Jasper finally made it home, emotionally exhausted and physically wrung out, he was relieved to finally have the opportunity to unmask. As he began to relax, he thought about how close he'd come, not to misbehaving, not to being dramatic, but to losing his grip on a day that wouldn't stay still. People thought that meltdowns came from nothing. People thought that meltdowns were temper tantrums from spoiled children who couldn't get their way. People didn't see the math behind them. The constant recalculation, the effort it took to hold everything together when the schedule, the map he relied on to get through the day, kept being erased and redrawn. Tomorrow, he knew, would be better. Tomorrow was written down, and for Jasper, that made all the difference.
Structure and routine are vital for autistic individuals because they provide predictability, which reduces anxiety in a world that can often feel chaotic. Consistent structure fosters a sense of security, control, and independence by setting clear expectations and making transitions smoother for better emotional regulation, learning, and skill development. Consistent routines help manage sensory input, build confidence, and create a framework for daily living, and reducing meltdowns while supporting social engagement.
How do you feel about structure? Does the use of daily routines and procedures help to make your life feel more ordered? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Goodbye. I look forward to our next visit.